I've always worked in local government. I like helping people and receiving phone calls and fixing them right away. And I've noticed moving throughout my career, kind of a medium-sized town like Wake Forest, if I get a call and keep track of that, I can immediately make a change.
Hi, I'm Bill Crabtree. Welcome to Wake Forest Perspectives. We're pleased to have with us today the Assistant Public Works Director, Allison Snyder. Allison, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Anybody that has had questions about solid waste is certainly familiar with your name by now. I know you've been getting a lot of phone calls, but before we dive into the upcoming solid waste improvements and everything, you've been with the town now for about 2 years.
Yep.
What interested you in coming to work for the town of Wake Forest?
I've always worked in local government. I like helping people and receiving phone calls and fixing them right away. And I've noticed moving throughout my career, kind of a medium-sized town like Wake Forest, if I get a call and keep track of that, I can immediately make a change. It doesn't have to be a long process, and a bunch of people don't need to be involved. We can just make stuff happen, and I like getting things done, so I'm here now.
I think it's so interesting you say that because I say this all the time. I've been in Wake Forest now for 15 years, and that's really one of the things that I've always loved about working here is we see a problem and we really do make every effort to try to address it. I think it's interesting you say that you enjoy receiving phone calls and emails because I'm sure in your position you get a ton of those. What are some of the questions that you get most often specifically in regard to solid waste service?
I get a lot of questions about bulk collection, meaning items that can't fit in your trash cart. Currently, we have a really restrictive program as to what we'll allow collection-wise through our bulk collection. And I get a lot of questions as to why the 75-pound limit, why can't I put this item out? Or I understand that it's not 75 pounds, but I don't have a way to get it to the convenience center. Can you just pick it up? And currently in our program, that's not an option. But we have some changes coming in January that will make it an option.
So before we dive into those, take me through trash and recycling. What are we hearing from residents about questions about trash and recycling now, and then we'll get into the improvements that are starting in January.
Sure. Lately, we've had a lot of overflow issues as we've had a lot more residents working from home and spending more time at home, which means more trash generation. We've had a lot of questions about what do I do with my overflow? Not all my trash fits in my cart. We've also had a lot of questions about trash cans being blocked. There's more people parking on the street, and then we're unable to collect the carts without causing damage to a car. So we leave the cart behind in order to protect someone else's personal property. And that can cause frustration, obviously. You want your trash gone. So we've handled a lot of calls about those two items.
So one of the things I've enjoyed about working with you over the last couple of years is your commitment to educating our community. And so I think we have a pretty aggressive education program. One of the things that I know that we worked together early on about was what can go in your recycling bin. So talk a little bit about that, and then I think it's important to emphasize Waste Wizard and how important that is in that effort.
Sure. While our goal is to kind of have a collection system that you don't think about, you just put your cart out and we collect it and you move about your day, we do want you to put the right items in your cart. And recycling in particular is very complicated. It's changed throughout the decades. The technology along with it has changed. We're very fortunate in Wake County, particularly actually in Wake Forest. We have a couple residents that live in Wake Forest that are in the recycling industry, working at the recycling plants. So we have that direct communication line to know what can and cannot be recycled. And if you don't know, you're not going to do it correctly. So I've enjoyed working with you and your team to help people understand what can and cannot be recycled. And the main thing that we've been trying to stress is shape and size rather than the numbers. In the 1980s, 1990s, it was a lot about recycling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that doesn't necessarily mean something's recyclable. It actually means the chemical makeup of that material. So now we're talking more about shape, size, density of materials, so you can feel something in your hands and make a decision rather than have to read the numbers at the bottom.
Well, and again, the beauty of our setup and the beauty of the resources that we have available is if you have an item that you're not sure can go in the recycling bin, you can go to the website, check out Waste Wizard, enter that item, and it'll let you know if it's recyclable.
Exactly, and if you type in an item and it doesn't pop up, on the staff side we get a notification and it says someone searched for this item. So what we do is if more than one person searches for that item, we'll add it and tell you where it goes. So keep checking back and going back to Waste Wizard and typing in that item. It's an interactive tool, which is really nice.
So that leads me to the big issue that's coming up. Starting in January, the town's going to implement a number of what we really think are solid waste improvements for the entire community. Take me through that, and we might as well go ahead and start with the big one that people have had questions about, the new sanitation fee or solid waste fee. So talk about that.
In 2008, we did charge a solid waste fee. It was on the water bill. When we split with our water system and our water system went to City of Raleigh, kind of the mechanism and tracking of it fell to the wayside. So we moved that fee onto our property tax bill. As we continue to grow, we've gotten a lot of new customers moving in. We're around 50 to 80 residents per month that are new. They all call us and ask us, how do we pay for our bill? How do we sign up? And now it's moving back to the water bill. And that fee is going to be around $21 a month. Previously, when the fee was on the water bill, it was around $14.
So there's only a $7 increase since 2008 to now 2020.
Yep. We are fortunate to contract with Republic Services, and we have a really good rate because we bundle all of our customers into one service, which keeps our rates much lower than if you were to contract with a private hauler on your own.
Okay, and so that fee will take effect January 1st, 2021. And so walk me through some of the other improvements that are coming up along with the new fee.
Sure. Well, the cost of the service and the service standard isn't changing. It's just moving from the property tax bill to the water bill. We do recognize that since you're paying for it on a monthly basis, it's more visible. So we wanted to do some improvements based off of the customer feedback I mentioned earlier when we talked today. And some of that feedback we received was about the bulk collection. So in our bulk collection program, we're eliminating the 75-pound limit. So items like children's toys, those plastic slides, or your play gyms that aren't 75 pounds, but you're not going to take it apart. They've been weathered and kind of melted together a little bit. We will pick that up at the curb now through a bulk collection. You just need to let us know. The other change to our program is with yard waste. Previously, on the property taxes, everyone was paying for that service, but not everyone was receiving that service. If there was a professional landscaper cutting your grass for your whole community, we would not even come into your community. With the changes in January, we're going to be collecting from every single family home and every townhome community that's eligible for curbside recycling and trash service. That expands our customer base. We're adding about 21 new communities that we hadn't previously serviced by yard waste, and that will be more material for us to collect. Because of that, we're asking if you have a brush pile from trimming a bunch of trees on your property that you call in to us or go online, just like you do for bulk collection, to let us know you have that material at curbside. That allows us to plan our routes and also will save carbon emissions from us driving street by street. We can plan our day based off of what customers are telling us is at the curb.
So we're basically trying to be more efficient.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. No, so let's just make sure I understand. So now if landscapers do work in your yard and they put the materials out the road, we'll pick it up.
With some exceptions, but yes. If they're preparing the materials correctly and within the weekly limits, which are posted on our solid waste improvements page, we will collect it. That's currently happening in some cases, and we're unable to determine who got it to the curb. As long as it's prepared correctly and within the weekly limits, we'll collect it. That said, if you have a contractor come to your house and do a full swoop and take down all the trees on your property, not that you would do that, but just for a sake of an example, the contractor would be responsible for that. So large-scale projects, contractors need to remove themselves. If they're helping you with small things and preparing things correctly, we don't have any way of it knowing or enforcing that on our end. We just want to provide you with weekly service.
Okay, but let's go back to the bulk waste again, though. And I think now, starting in January, there will be limits on the number. We'll come and get whatever you put out there, but there will be limits. Is that correct?
Yes, we're not in the service industry of doing move-outs or clean-outs or anything like that. This is for bulky items around Christmas time or spring cleaning, that if you buy something new and you're getting rid of the older version, we want to come collect that for you. If you have an entire move out or get a whole new furniture set, you might want to call us first and we can help you find other options for those materials.
Well, I was mentioning earlier our efforts to be more efficient, and I think another example of that is our efforts to make more resources available online and online forms whereas at one time you had to call the Public Works Department, now there are forms you can fill out. So talk about the availability of those forms, again, trying to make it easier for the residents.
Sure, we want to give you as many options as possible. I know for my personal household, a lot of times I think of stuff in the middle of the night. I'm not going to call Public Works and ask for something at 2 in the morning. So we have forms for if your trash and recycling was missed, if your yard waste was missed. We have forms if you have any issues with your carts or need an additional cart because you're spending more time at home.
Right, and obviously you can also go online to sign up for Waste Wizard and get know when your collection schedule is and that kind of thing. So
Correct.
Again, Allison, we like to conclude every program by asking our guests to complete this sentence. If not for Wake Forest, what?
If not for Wake Forest, I think I'd be pretty bored. I have the luxury of not only doing solid waste, but some other environmental projects with my job, and every day is different. And we do try to prioritize callers and residents calling in, which means I just stop what I'm doing and pick up the phone, and that back and forth I really enjoy.
And Allison, we really do appreciate your efforts and your commitment to the community. But before we do close, I do want to make the point too, and I think you'll agree, that if people have questions or concerns about the solid waste improvements, again, you're always available, you're always returning telephone calls, so they can reach out to you directly and you're happy to assist.
Yes, like I said, if we don't hear from you, we don't know. A lot of the feedback I've gotten about the fee has been, well, my kids have moved away, I have a lot less trash than kind of a typical household. Is there anything you can do for me? And currently the answer is no, but that's something I have definitely filed away to think about in the future. With the fee being on a separate water bill and being more visible, any program changes that we make, we can easily figure out how much that would cost or save a resident and present that to the board for consideration moving forward.
Thanks, Allison.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching this episode of Wake Forest Perspectives. We'll see you next week.